fasting is less about what you eat and more about when you eat. What is going on, everybody? My name is J-Turn-Jake, and today I'm bringing you another episode of the J-Turn-Chisel. In this episode, we're going to be talking about fasting and how my experience has been with it over the last year and a bit. When talking about fasting and living in a country like Canada or the United States, most people think that you're crazy because we have access to such an abundance of food. And this is because we don't eat only for survival, we also eat because of the emotional connection that it brings us. We eat to celebrate, we eat because it tastes good, which in turn makes us feel good. We eat when we're sad. Most of all, we eat as a part of socialization. Like when we go to parties or hang out with friends or have game nights, we eat with people. It's a thing we do. So when I talk about the idea of fasting, most people shy away from it. They're completely against it. And they think that if you're fasting, you're starving. And if you're starving, you might be dying. But what is fasting? Fasting is less about what you eat and more about when you eat. 22 months ago, I started on my weight loss journey. I was sitting at 285 pounds and I had tried a couple of types of what to eat diets, and I came across a lot of people talking about intermittent fasting, alternate day fasting, all these types of fastings, and I was just like, who would think about not eating? If I don't eat, I'm gonna become hangry. I was already depriving myself of the foods I liked a lot, so I was just like, if I don't eat, then how is this gonna work? I love eating food. I love the taste, the textures, the flavors, like everything. If you're considering trying to fast and you were like me and this person that was like, oh, I can never fast because I would be hangry all the time, try to ease yourself into it. Try it out. You're gonna be hangry in the beginning, I promise you. I was fucking angry, I was moody, and so in my first year of my weight loss journey, I did try fasting later on in the year because I came across something called alternate day fasting, where you feast for a whole day and then you fast for a whole day. And on those feast days, you basically eat whatever the heck you want, and then on your fast days, you eat nothing. So I was like, I want to try that because I like the foods that I'm eating. I tried that out for a bit, lost about probably 10 pounds, 20 pounds doing that type of fasting. Then I went back on a keto diet, and I was following a plan that I found online. And in the third and fourth week, it actually starts introducing you to fasting, intermittent fasting actually, where you just start skipping breakfast and you only eat like lunch and dinner during a certain period of time. So that's intermittent fasting. And then in the last week of that keto plan I was following, it took me into something called 1 meal a day, so I would only eat dinner. I actually really enjoyed the way that this plan laid it out to gradually bring me into fasting, because the first time it was hard doing the alternate day fasting, but this made it easier because it was laid out and clear as to, you know, the first week, second week, third week, fourth week, what to eat and when to eat. Because that was laid out for me, I was able to follow it easier. In addition, it increased my ability to lose more weight. For me, it was with the keto diet. I was eating that in conjunction with doing the fasting, and your body's also in ketosis when you're fasting. Basically, you got double the fat burning happening. Also, when I'm fasting, I feel so much clearer in my mind, my body feels light, my joints feel good. Like, some of these pluses were with keto, but when paired with fasting, those pluses are just, they increase. It's much better. Like, in comparison to when I first started the keto diet in this J-Turn-Chisel challenge, I was feeling foggy in my head, I was feeling heavy. My face was actually probably a little bit chubbier. Maybe I can pull up a picture and we'll put it here. But that's like what happens with the carb face, is my face just starts to like bloat a little bit. So it's smoothed out a little bit since then. And then with the fasting on top of that, like, another benefit of fasting is like, I hate tracking my food. So there's less days that I actually have to track my food. I'm just fasting and I just really have to remember to drink a bunch of water. Here's something bonus too that I learned from Thomas DeLauer. He was talking about how fasting, because your body is not working on that digestion, it has some time to do some house cleaning, whereas when the digestion's going, the carbs are in there, the glycogen, whatever is being used for energy, the mitochondria doesn't have time to go and clean up house. It's too busy dealing with all the current stuff that's coming in. Because of that, there's a theory, the mitochondria being able to clean up all those extra cells, it's actually slowing down the aging process in your body, which means that you could potentially live longer. So for all of you out there who think that fasting can lead to starvation, which can lead to dying, if the scientists are right, then you're actually, if you fast, you could live longer. Your lifespan could increase. This is a possibility. Currently doing some fasting, playing around with a couple of different schedules. I'm not doing the same thing every day. I'm putting in some alternate day fasting. I'm doing some 36-hour fasts. I'm doing 16-hour fasts and an 8-hour eating window. I use what works for my day. I tend to be able to hold out on fasting more when I'm at work. I just drink water all day whenever I feel those hunger pains. So when I'm at my workplace, it's easier for me to eat less. And then when I'm at home, working from home, I actually tend to eat more because I've got quick access to food. It's here, so I plan the days that when I'm at work, I fast, and when I'm at home, I eat. And then I've got a couple other days that I play around with. Another favorite for me with fasting, I was saying that there's less meal prep because you only got so many meals in the week that you actually have to think about. I've been trying to do 2 36-hour days, so then really I'm only eating maybe 4 or 5 meals a week, which is much easier for meal planning and meal prepping. So I like the fact that fasting frees up my time more. All right, if you're interested in fasting, you should probably talk to your doctor to make sure that it's safe for you. You need to do your own research and not just take what I have to say for truth, because I could be wrong in some of these instances. So check out some other scientists, and I actually put Thomas DeLauer down in the description below. You can also feel free to ask me questions because all of this is based on my experience with fasting, and I'm trying to explain what happened with me. You could think about what could work for you based on what works in your life. Like I said earlier, you might be hangry in the beginning, but you could find ways to make that hangriness less. You could talk to me about that if you want. And just remember, fasting is less about what you eat and more about when you eat. All right, if you like this episode, why don't you smash that like button, share it with your people, and I'll see you in the next episode of the J Turn Chisel.